Hey, welcome back, guys. All right, let's get into this. We're going to take a little peek at whatever the collective message is going to be. We'll call out zodiacs as we get there. We start with the Lover's card in the reverse, Gemini. By the way, Gemini, if you guys missed it, you did get 2 videos last week. I just posted the other one last night, pretty late, but and I think you guys got a really great one. Prince of Wands is upright. Okay, so we have passion, but we may have one person who's like, yeah, they took a little too long to figure out who they had passion for, so I'm not interested in them, even though they seem to be interested in me. Not looking for a player, not interested in a player. Okay, fair enough, but we're not 100% sure that that's what the message is going to be just yet. It does kind of give me the feel that somebody is like cooling their interest in another individual. But we have Ace of Pentacles in the Judgment card. Strong Scorpio energy. By the way, Scorpios, you guys will be getting a video right after this, so watch for that. Oh gosh, to see the Ace of Pentacles here, they want a new beginning. Somebody, I get this vibe that one person says, they're a player, I'm not interested. Player says, she's amazing. Really, really, really want to, have a new beginning with her. Try this all over again. I don't know what's true about this yet. Well, true, it's a fictional story, but we have a 6 of Cups upright. We have an 8 of Swords. I'm not sure if this person really was a player, if they just gave off that vibe, but we see, the energy both times with the windows here, by the way. I feel like, since eyes are the window to the soul, I feel like this person has recognized this is my soulmate and I don't know what to do about it. Maybe they did give off a vibe of being a player, and maybe it is going to be too late. Let me just ask. Let's go over to that Prince of Wands energy. Hanged Man. It may not necessarily have been like player energy, but more procrastinator energy, but delaying, not making a decision about what you're interested in, how you feel. That can certainly give the vibe of being like, oh, I don't know, I'm still sifting through all these other options. Who knows, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, which way will I go? Kind of vibe could make them come across as a player. What was the procrastination about? By the way, we have Piscean energy. Pisces, you guys got a video last night also, so check the Pisces playlist if you're looking for that. 5 of Wands is upright. I mean, this looks really, really like they were more concerned maybe with, if anything, dealing with possibly their divine masculine energy, spending time with friends, needing to either get support from friends, work through things in their mind. These delays actually were not because they were indecisive about whether or not they wanted somebody. These delays weren't about, I'm a player and I'm out there because I've got so many women to pick from or so many men to pick from. This storyline says their bigger delays were about, working through some ideas that I think that they needed to be surrounded by their friends and not in romantic connections for a period of time. So tell me about these 2 cards with the windows, right? That soulmate energy with the 6 of Cups, and then that 8 of Swords, that stuck energy. 10 of Wands. I feel like what they had to work through and the way they needed support of their friends. Possibly they spent more time playing, being around pals, but it wasn't for no reason, right? They were working through some kind of thoughts or worries or fears, and they needed support of friends, not that they were ready to start opening up their heart. But now saying, man, the thing is, now that I'm feeling better, now that I'm feeling more like I've worked through the things that I needed to by having support of my friends around me, now I'm ready for a soulmate, but I'm a little bit stuck as to how do I sail this barge forward, right? 10 of Wands is actually laying down obstacles, trials and tribulations. Like if they perhaps realize that the next issue here is she's over it. With that 4 of Cups, she's not interested anymore. She got bored with my, procrastination. And now, even though I know she's a soulmate, she maybe is saying, we're definitely not soulmates. I mean, where were you? I don't know. Feminine, let's talk to you. Feminine looks very bored. She could really like coffee, by the way, or I'm thinking like chai teas. Um, but it's like, even if there's disdain on her face, let's be honest. And we can see why, because her assumption is, I don't want a player. And that's all this person was. You know, that would make one feel insulted, like, especially if now you're deciding that you want me when you've, obviously been off playing with everybody else. But now I'm like, low hanging fruit or something. That's her feeling of insult. And that's why she's got this disdainful kind of glare. And that's also probably why she's so over this, so bored with this. She really liked him. King of Cups. She must have thought he had a really warm heart at some point. She must have thought he was really lovely, really loving, and then was like, nothing. He might have shown warmth toward her, shown interest toward her, shown affection toward her, and then it was like totally indecisive, standing at a crossroads, not sure about whether or not she was important to him, whether or not she had value. Okay, so we can see that's why I think she's got the I'm so over this look on her face. And Eight of Cups, this is her saying, I walked away from this. It doesn't mean that she doesn't look back over her shoulder. I mean, as we can see, she's doing it right here. She does look back over her shoulder and think about him from time to time. But even here, like, now we kind of see less disdain and more like she's just tired from this, right? She's pretty straightforward. I always think that her face is really, like she's not hiding any emotion here. She looks kind of just like, I've already accepted what this is. She doesn't look happy. She doesn't look devastated. It's just more like, again, I'm over it, but it doesn't matter. It's fine. It kind of feels like resignation, perhaps. It's like, man, I'm hearing Sia in my head. And another one, Bites of Dust. Oh, why can I not conquer love? See, I might have thought that we were one. Something about, but there were too many red flags. Oh, Elastic Heart. Great lyrics in that song. I love Sia. Six of Pentacles. It definitely feels like she's saying, I moved on and I'm looking for somebody new. So I'm thinking this thing played out some time ago, right? He had an opportunity with her, but obviously doesn't seem like he pursued it. Is that what happened? Did he not pursue this opportunity even though it began like he was going to? Yeah. Seven of Wands was the blockage. First he acted like, oh man, she's a sexy Queen of Wands, but then apparently not sexy enough for me to, move toward. And that's not what it was. It's just, this is kind of like, I'm speaking right now from the context of like both of their perspectives. Seven of Wands is like, man, I got to get some blockages removed because I've met somebody who's great, but I don't really think I can pursue. Why did you come across to her as a King of Cups, somebody that seemed really loving? And we have that Gemini card upright, but with the Tower sideways, because for a flicker of a moment, I think that they really did show like, oh man, you are the one I would pick, but they didn't explain you are the one I would pick if I didn't have some things in my life that I got to deal with, or maybe something that just almost immediately after they met, something started to collapse. I don't know. What was it? Can we see what this big obstacle was? What collapsed? 10 of Pentacles could be something in like an entire family heritage. This could have been about money. This could have been about job. That 10 of Pentacles could have been everything, place to live. 10 of Wands, King of Wands, 9 of Swords, the Hermit. I don't know if he was like living a false life for a really long time, or if he was living under, so I'm just going to say what I actually think here. To me, this comes across like meeting her made him realize if I've been still kind of like living with an immaturity, where maybe he didn't quite stand on his own 2 feet. I don't know if his parents were footing the bill. I don't know if it was one of those situations where he himself was like, oh my God, wait a minute, I just met this wonderful person, but I have to step up and be that King of Wands. And in order to do that, I got to make some changes in myself. I got to make some changes in who I am. I got to stand a little more firmly on my own 2 feet. And maybe that means standing up to a family, that maybe there's financial ties. I just keep seeing this adult couple with their kid. And I'm wondering if in this scenario, it's like he was always the kid. Like maybe there were parents that were a little too helicoptery, even with as an adult. Maybe it was a bit, we love you. We're going to make sure that you have everything you need. Make sure your inheritance is set. Make sure, your trust fund is good. Make sure you've got everything you need, as long as you keep towing the line and doing what we want you to do. And I'm wondering if that prevented him from ever like stepping up into what he wanted to do and stepping fully into his own, king's energy. Because this certainly says then it got really stressful and he's like, whoa, I need to be this person. I've met this amazing Queen of Wands. I've got to be a King of Wands. When in fact, deep down, I kind of know that maybe I've never fully gotten to the point where I had something of my own to share with another person, because I think a lot of his life was somehow either dictated or there was too much assistance, perhaps, from family. I just feel like in this storyline, we're dealing with somebody who hadn't yet become steward of their own ship. Maybe too much influence from, a loving but overbearing family, or a family that had a lot to do with, his wealth, his choices in life. All of this combined just looks like he really had to walk alone for a while, specifically walk alone from family and from any potential romantic partner, because you can't bounce from, wow, I realize I've been kind of acting as a kid, and now let me go ahead and get with this other relationship. He couldn't quite make that transition unless he's like mature enough to do so. So this really just looks like that's more of the reason he needed to not do a relationship right away, even though we can see he was very, very impressed, so impressed, in fact, that it made him look at his own life. That's why maybe he walked away from family, walked away from relationship potential, and instead started to like go through his mind, and maybe start to consider like, what is a grown up, what is, I don't know. There's something here when we go back to that Five of Wands. It's like he needed to be around like other friends or independent, powerful divine masculines, to kind of wrap his head around maybe just like finding one's own voice a little bit. This was a process. It might have taken a while. I mean, this could be 3 years. We got 3 clocks on the tree of life. I doubt it was 3 days. And I think he's been out there on his own, kind of working through stuff. Please remember, I don't actually read for genders. This could be a masculine as easily as a feminine. This could be a same-sex couple as easily as, different gender roles. So just bear that in mind. It's just I try to go with the cards that we see to describe our characters. And so far, we've seen a lot of masculine on his cards. So at this point then, although we can see that she said, I'm so over this, I let this go a long time ago, I walked on from it. Do I think back here and there? Yeah, but mostly I think forward about, I'd like somebody who actually wants to be in harmony with me, who wants to give to me, not somebody who had all these other choices and all these other people, first said he liked me, and then immediately was like, oh gosh, I don't know, there's so many other great options instead of you. That's how she feels. She doesn't know the rest of the story. She does not know what kind of like the real context was behind the scenes. Is she going to find out the real context behind the scenes? 8 of Cups sideways. She may not be open to it. There's a part of her that I think wants to hear like a different version of the story than what she's told herself, but there's also a part of her where it might be too late no matter what is said. She might be like, well, glad you figured that out. Kind of a pity you couldn't have talked to me at any point in time and told me that you weren't out cheating, or not even cheating, because I think he stopped pursuing her altogether. I think he gave the hot and cold signals. Oh man, you're awesome. I want to be with you. I mean, we saw the Lover's card upright on his side. We saw her seeing him as a King of Cups, somebody where he made this emotional, like, oh my God, I want to be with you. And he even admits it. And then it was, oh gosh, I don't know. To the point where I think his energy got so wobbly, so like, or so much like he was withdrawing from her and delaying things and not moving toward her and not making any plans for the future. And then she was like, oh, so he's messing with me because he's just a player. So I don't know. To me, like, she'd like to hear more about this story if there was more to it. But I honestly kind of think she still is saying, at least right now, doesn't matter. It's over. We have the Empress upright. I will say this. If she's in Empress mode, she may say, what's already done is done, and I have moved on. But it doesn't mean that, answers wouldn't still be nice. With that Nine of Wands, it says she can still acknowledge that still hurt me. There was still a wound from that. The wound was, I believed fully he was a Knight of Wands. Now, the biggest problem I see here is, does she still believe any of that? Will she still continue to believe that no matter what he tells her? But we have an Emperor here as well. See, I think this is actually hinting that if there is a different story that he would have to tell, and it is not what she thought it was. Look, an Empress can learn new information, and she can then look at the situation with new, fresh eyes. That could be why we have that Ten of Swords. If there is a way to actually look at him as an emperor, that would be a whole different thing. If he was out running around with everybody else but her all this time because, oh, I was finding myself, I don't see her taking this person back. I see her saying, well, I get it. You were trying to find yourself. That's also why you're not my person. I'm moving on to meet an emperor. I'm moving forward. But if there is a chance that he isn't those things that she has assumed, then she could actually have her mind changed and she could look at him as an actual emperor. So, I mean, anything is possible here. That's all I can say is anything is possible here, which is actually very, very nice to see that anything is still possible, that this energy change, that this perspective change, that this this dialogue could go much, much, much different. Good, because it's always a refreshing energy to see the possibility to look at a scenario differently. It all kind of depends on the ins and outs. Can we see anything else about the ins and outs of this? The Lover's card sideways. I don't know what that represents. If he went out, it says he wasn't out looking for another lover. He was too stressed out to have any lover in his life. Then I think that these two could definitely be back together. All right, I'm going to leave that one there. Thank you so much for being here. Sorry about my baby. Bye.